To remember brings about great blessing, but to forget brings about great sorrow. I think that's true. I think that's true in everyday life. Whenever we remember anniversaries or birthdays or remember our responsibilities, there's certain blessings that come about as a result of that remembrance. But whenever we forget something, to forget something, well, that can bring about some great sorrow in life. You forget an anniversary, you forget a birthday, you forget a bill that you need to pay, there is sorrow that is quickly to follow. To remember brings about great blessing, to forget brings about great sorrow. And I think God understands this and believes this and knows this to be true in our own lives. I think it's true in our spiritual lives. And I think God understands that we are a people who are prone to forget, especially to forget the important things in life. It's so easy to get caught up in the daily routine, the mundane, the daily rut of life, that we forget what is truly important. And so God places in our spiritual lives certain habits and events and rituals that help us to remember what's really important. We take part in the Lord's Supper each and every Sunday to remember the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. We tithe faithfully to remember that God is in control, that He is worthy of our trust. And if there's one word that I think you can place over the book of Deuteronomy, this book that is really a compilation of sermons that Moses preaches to the people of Israel as they're about to enter the promised land, if there's one word that can be placed over this book, it is the word remember. Moses desperately, as they enter into the promised land, he desperately wants them to remember where they have been, who they are, what they have committed themselves to remember the covenant promise that they have made with the Lord, to remember that they were slaves in Egypt, to remember how the Lord provided for them in those 40 years of wandering in the wilderness, to remember the food and the drink and the protection that He gave them, to remember the times of discipline when they turned away from the Lord and followed false gods, to remember the commitment that they have made to the laws of the Lord, to forsake all other gods. Moses, as they get ready to enter the promised land, reminds the people to remember the Lord in all of their ways. Deuteronomy chapter 8, take care, Moses writes, lest you forget the Lord your God. And on this day, I would encourage you to do nothing more than simply remember the Lord. Can you just take time now to remember how good He has been to you? Remember how He has provided for you. Remember how He has been there in the darkest, most difficult times of your life. Can you just take time to remember the Lord your God? Remember the commitment that you have made to Him, to be obedient to Him and to follow His ways all of your life.